Hi, everyone. Welcome to Make Your Day Richer. Hey, did you know that tomorrow is our 1 year anniversary? I can't believe it. And we've got Christopher Pellegrini on tomorrow. I'm going to do some drinking with his Japanese spirit. So that's going to be a fun way to celebrate 1 year of Make Your Day Richer. That's crazy. Outside of the show, just so you know, I also help people with their podcasts and live streams. And my friend Becky has a new episode of her podcast, Gorilla HR, Human Resources. So if you're an employee or an employer, you need to be listening to the podcast. So take a look at the latest episode.
Food costs are changing week to week, and it's like trying to adjust your whole menu's pricing week to week. I'm just kind of, I feel like I'm in the hold on and just let's just ride the wave as long as we can. Constantly trying to get creative, get new flavors, new ideas to entice people to come in. But I do believe, we're one of the first things that people are choosing to cut and not spend money on, whether it be for health reasons currently, or just, when they go to the grocery store and their bill is twice as much as it used to, well, they're not going to drive then another 5 minutes out of their way to buy some fresh baked goods when they could just grab something a fraction of the cost, pre-made or frozen where they're at.
Yeah. So you are definitely feeling a lot of the economic impact already.
Oh, yes. We've been feeling it. I would say the last 6 to 8 months hit us really hard. We were on a good trend, and then it just took a turn.
Yeah.
And then if it's not one thing, one time it was the price of butter, and then
right.
You can go to Gorilla-HR to learn more about Becky, about her services, about her consulting, and about the podcast. There you go. And if you need help with your podcast, send me an email at makeyourdayricher@gmail.com and let's get you hooked up. All right, joining me today is an award-winning author and mental performance coach with a proven track record of helping people excel. Ahmard Vital, author of Now What? 5 Steps to Get Up and Create the Most of Life, has helped secure millions in scholarships for athletes and is now inspiring professionals worldwide with his expertise in dream building, goal setting, and relentlessly pursuing excellence. Let's start the show.
Make your day richer than it was before. Got some good times knocking upon your front door.
Usually lead with that. Like everything I do led from the fact that my love for writing, because I wrote my first book when I was like 11 years old. So it kind of everything comes from writing, and speaking came from writing first. So writing
11 years old, though the guest we had on yesterday was 16 and wrote her first book when she was in the 6th grade. So I don't understand how you kids, I didn't know what I was doing at that age. 11 years old.
Well, I always say, aside from the Bible, the greatest gift God ever gave me was my pen. And I've literally been writing my whole life. Like, I mean, I learned how to walk, and then my folks gave me a pencil, and I probably started writing from that. And I wrote a book as part of a project when I was in 4th or 5th grade. And they wanted to, it was so good that my teacher wanted to put it in a middle school competition for me. And of course, being an idiot, I was like, no, I don't want to do that. That's dumb. Because I was a jock too, so that just conflicted with everything. So,
Would you remember what the book was about?
Yes, it was. I wrote a book about the Boogeyman. It was called The Boogeyman Adventures. It was going to be a series because I actually believed in the Boogeyman. I thought that there was like a dude or a group of people who lived under my bed and were going to come out and deal with me in some type of way. He never showed up, but I thought he was always under there, and so I was always prepared in case he decided to show up. Lord knows what I would have done if he would have actually showed up, but that was the mindset and that was the creativity I had at that time. So
do you still have that? Like, have you ever revisited that book at all?
Dude, I don't think I remember where that book was once I started high school. But I do remember because I gave it to my teacher and I think she just kept it. But I put it in like I put like some cardboard around it and, packaged it up, glued the pages and put it, that's back when there was typewriters. Like a word processor. It was a computer, but it printed out like a typewriter. I mean, that's how young I am, to
If
remember.
this was a better show, I'd be like, well, we contacted your teacher and we have it here and she's here to read it, but we don't.
I mean, if you could pull that off, man, you would be doing something monumental. Who knows what it would be today? I could have been Goosebumps before there was Goosebumps,
I know. Man, I'm telling you.
I blew
well, then we won't talk about that book, but I do want to talk about your new book, Now What? 5 Steps to Get Up and Create the Most of Life. What an amazing title.
Yes, written in right at the start of 2020 when there was nothing going on in the world.
Uh-huh. When you needed reasons to get up, right?
Well, it was so much talk going on during that time, and I was sick of it. And I'm like, I'm tired of people making excuses. I'm tired of you thinking that somebody owes you something. And so that's what that book, I literally wrote the outline for that book on the tollway here on my way to work on a scratch pad. I wrote down the 5 steps. I wrote down the intro. Literally, I'm on the highway and I'm just like, I'm done listening to this. I was listening to a podcast and I'm just like, I just started to scratch this down like this, and this. And then I built it out from there. So
how long did it take you then to build it out and to actually form a book out of those notes?
8 months.
Okay.
Now the editing part, because my editor is a tyrant, and she's a beautiful tyrant because she pretty much rips all of my pages in half and tells me, 3,000 words are just not needed in it anymore. That part takes a little bit longer because you have to go step by step by step, and you'll learn when you write a book, if you wait too long in between chapters, you'll go back and read what you wrote to build on the next one. You're just like, who the heck wrote this? Like, seriously. Like I did that with my first book. My first book, I literally wrote it and I waited like 6 weeks and I went back and read it, and I was like, what is this? This is terrible. And I had to like rewrite the whole first chapter all over again because I couldn't recognize who that was who wrote that book. It was that.
So then would you do that every time though? Like at a certain point you just go, okay, I'm done. I'm not going back to that. It's up to the editor if they tell me to do something. But like I always think about that with like visual artists and painters. Like when you know when it's done and when do you know that it's good?
Well, since my first one, obviously I've grown and written a few more books since then. It's just you just don't, once you commit to it, you just commit to it. You say, okay, we're going to do this. You don't wait a month. Maybe you'll wait a week, but you can't wait a month because so much stuff has happened in your mind up to that point to where you'll mess around and it doesn't even count. And it's funny you said artist because my late father was an artist and we had to stop him because his thing was that a piece of artwork is never done. Mm-hmm. Never. And we used to have to stop him sometimes from after we've gotten it basically mounted and framed. Like
he's taking it off the wall.
He's trying to take it out the glass, man. Like seriously, like, oh, I see something because an artist looks at work and it's never done. So technically, I go back and look at some of my books, even after they're published, you're just like, why did I say that? Why did I write that way? And it's like, because since the time it was actually written and it was printed, you've grown since then. And so you think differently. It's not that it's bad. You're just like, I would have did this. And so, yeah, sometimes you just have to just be like, it is what it is. But that is the tough part about being an author. It's like you have to just let go eventually. Because like you said, it's a work of art.
Or you release the second edition and you rework it and put it out, I suppose.
I am actually going to rewrite the book. You probably can't see it in the screenshot up here, but the book, my first book, Awaken the Baller Within, I absolutely want to rewrite that. I've already put together the outline for it. I just haven't sat down long enough to be able to do it. But I want to make the remix to it. I want to rewrite I Am More Than Enough and do it more from a spiritual and biblical standpoint. Like every book I've written, I want to rewrite. Like literally.
You grew up in clearly a very expressive household, I'm guessing, with your dad being an artist. What was that like to grow up? Kind of, were you able to just express and be creative your entire life?
Absolutely. It was an expressive time. My mother's been a teacher. She retired after 42 years. My father was a professor and an artist, and my biological father is a petroleum engineer. And so there was no bounds on how wild my thoughts could be as far as expression. So me with a pen in my hand is like breathing. So there was no stopping what I could do. They bought me all the notebooks I need, all the pens and pencils I needed, and just let me just be me and go as wild and crazy as I wanted to.
Is that one of the reasons why I know you do a lot of volunteering, especially with teens. Is that one of the reasons why you like to connect with teens to give them that opportunity?
No, I think a lot of tragedy is what led me to being more of a servant. When I had my meltdown at the age of 20, no, I think I was 31 when I had a full meltdown in the house I'm in right now, actually. Um, and just was wondering, like, what am I doing in this journey called life? I'm such a failure. I'm such a success, but I'm such a failure at the same time. And so I ended up getting a mentor, a spiritual advisor, and someone to come along, and they were just like, how much are you serving other people? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, are you giving back? Are you going to church? Are you being a servant to others? And I didn't really know the depths of that concept. I mean, I'd done some community service all through school, all through college, but to the point to where it's intentional and there's a purpose behind it. And I'm looking to do it, not that it's attached to a job or to an organization I'm part of. Like I have, that's part of who I am now. It's not like something I do, it's who I am. I invest that time. I invest, 3-4 hours a month to the empowerment of young men, right? That's what I do. That's who I am. It's not what I do. And so those things developed over time as I grew more in my faith and was able to just lean in and say, you know what? This is not about me, less of myself and more of the service that I'm called to do.
Wow. When you were a kid, what did you think you wanted to be when you grew up?
When I was extremely young, I wanted to be an astronaut. And then I found out that math and science are like the prerequisites, and then I was out from there because I'm pretty awful at both of those, aside from balancing my checkbook. So, but I always did have the skill of writing. Wanted to be a journalist, and I remember my father used to always. He didn't want me not to do it. He just was like, use it as a hobby and not as a profession, because at that time journalists weren't making that much money. People who wrote for newspapers weren't making a lot of money then. That wasn't like a big money profession until, different types of media came out. Luckily, I stayed the course, and, I rebelled against my parents many times over, and that was one of them. I went to school and majored in journalism communication. And lo and behold, when I first graduated from college and went into the quote unquote real world, moved back to Houston, my first job, I was making less than working at a sports bar in Nacogdoches, Texas. So they weren't wrong, but I just didn't find the right spot at that time. But I remember my father telling me, say, hey, the job paid 10 an hour. This was in 2004, right? And living in the city of Houston. So do the math there. And I was like, there's no way I can live on this. And I remember my father saying, hey, I want you to stay at that job and stay at the job for a year. And I said, wow, I mean, this job it's a good job, but they're not paying me anything. And he said, if you can learn to live at $10 a month, $10 an hour, if you can learn to live at that amount, you'll never be broke again. If you can learn the disciplines to stay within those parameters, you will always be able to find your way to be able to live a fulfilling life. And I took his advice, and I stayed there exactly 1 year, only to find out that because of the work I did at 10 an hour, a man who owned 4 companies saw the work I was doing in journalism, started an entire business attached to his business, a startup business where I ended up being the vice president of that business. And my salary at that time doubled to go work for them as a startup, to start an online newspaper and to start a college football recruiting analyst company to help young men go from high school to college and get a college scholarship to go along with it. So my father's advice was absolutely correct. It didn't go in the way you would have thought it would have, but I mean, that's just how blessings work. It doesn't show up in the way that's supposed to be packaged and it's all laid out on a plan. In fact, it is no plan. You do and move as you do and you believe, and then things happen and you're just like, wow, I wonder how that happened. And it was a beautiful thing, but I leaned in on it and was grateful that I was able to do it.
Wow. Your book, Now What? It's 5 steps to get up and create the most of life. I've had many authors on this show that have all types of numbers and do this 100 things and 88 and this. How come 5?
We've discussed my proficiency in math. It's so great and vast, and I wanted to make sure I lead in on that. But I like to keep things less because I'm, like a typical guy. I'm pretty ADD-ish from the standpoint I want to start 27 different projects, and only about 12 of them actually have any run to them. And so when I came up with 5 steps, that seemed like the optimal number of the simplistic things that need to be done, because 5 steps to get up and create the most of life, it was based on a profile of a number of people who were in my life, friends, colleagues, classmates from years ago. And I took the worst case scenarios of everybody's life. Like, when you hear of somebody, not to just go full draconian right now, but let's just say somebody, went to prison for 20 years for some level of murder, right? And it's like, okay, after 20 years and they come out, it's like, okay, what options does that person have, right? Somebody who gets caught up in, whether it's the criminal justice system, whether it's a bad family setup, whether it's a divorce, whether it's a death in the family. I took profiles of like the worst case scenarios, and I was like, okay, me as a coach, how would I coach somebody out of this? Because one of the first 2 or 3 stories I heard, I was like, man, at every turn, there's not a solution to help this person out. And so I took all of the worst, there's no solution, and put them all together and said, okay, if this person is in the pits and is in darkness and doesn't even have a flashlight or a match, how would I help them out of this? And that's where the 5 steps to create the most of life came from. Taking profiles from worst case scenarios and transitioning into something greater. So we focus on 5 steps. The first step is to reflect. How the heck did we get here? Because if you don't own the fact that where you are is your responsibility, then you'll never move. So we need to reflect on what caused us to get here and then look to make changes. And after that, we have to decide, okay, this is bad that I did. I want to be somewhere new. Decide, what is that for you? Maybe it's writing a book. Maybe it's starting a podcast. Maybe it's starting a family. Maybe it's changing careers. Whatever that major transition, something that's not going to happen in the snap of a finger, you have to decide. And once you decide and lay it all out, now it's time to plan. This is where your mind maps come in. This is where your multiple steps of how to do this, where we do the work in reverse, see the end goal in mind and work in reverse and say, what is something I can do every day to progress towards that goal and reaching that? But there's multiple goals that lead to the big goal. One of my mentors used to say the big kahuna goal, like the goal that will change your life. And so we have the multiple steps and we decide. And of course, once after you do that, you plan, you're laying out your plan or whatever. Then after that, you have to go act, and you're a businessman. I'm a businessman. How many times have we laid out a marketing plan, a business plan, and you look at it and 85% of it is just like, that just didn't quite work as I thought it would. And so you have to go out and test drive the plan to see where you need to be able to make the changes, which you will make changes. And so that's where you kind of undo and unpack all of the different things, change course where you need to, but still knowing that the end goal is in mind for you. And the last one, which I believe is one of the most important, is so you've reflected, you've decided, you've planned, you've taken action. And the last one is to seek the counsel, to seek the wisdom, to seek people, things, opportunities that you're needing to be able to make this plan happen, things that you didn't know you needed from the jump, and now you do. So now you go find an apprentice, you go find someone to serve under, you find someone who has knowledge in the very thing you're trying to do. If you're trying to start a family, hey, join a marriage group and get those things going together. If you're looking to write a book, find an author group to join part of. If you want to start a podcast, find the podcast guy you like the most and, choose to come under them and say, how do you do this? I want to know more about this. Whatever that is for you, seek that out. And then, boom, you have your 5 steps there. And when I was going through things, I was realizing that those 5 steps can address every area of life where we need to do something different, level up and make some things happen. And so that's why 5 steps to get up and create the most of life, that is taking a new step in life that's going to be major and consequential to those around you. And it'll be a beautiful thing to be able to achieve those things. And if your audience wants to see a preview of it, they can go to booknowwhat.com. That's booknowwhat.com. There's a free digital copy there. You can preview it. We'd love for your audience to go out and buy a physical copy of it, no doubt. But if there's if there's an opportunity that you want to go ahead and get a copy for yourself, please do. We would love that. We're looking to make some big moves in 2025 as people are coming, out of the time when things have been a little crazy for the past couple of years. So now what could be very important in trying to do some new things, because a lot of people realize what they were doing before just isn't working anymore. The economy is not the same. The world is not the same. Our country is not the same. School is not the same. A lot of things are different now, and we have to pivot in real time. And now what can help you understand different ways to be able to adjust in some strategic ways for you to be able to move differently as you go into this new year?
What do you love most about your life right now?
Honestly, blessed that the Lord gives me another day every day up to this point. To me, every day is a blessing. We typically say in the Christian faith, I don't deserve it, but thank God that I'm able to have another opportunity to go out and love and serve and give back to others. I'm most grateful for the fact that I have a heart for giving, and that I have the faith to know that I'll always be provided for. I think that if there was one thing that I can be grateful for, that would be it. That my Savior died so that I may live.
Oh, thank you so much for being here, for coming on the show, for sharing your story, and for motivating so many people.
Thank you for having me on.
Of course. Come back anytime. I know you're a busy guy. I also at some point want to talk about your media year. I'm going to need you to come back. But we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back after this. Don't go away. Life is difficult. Are you feeling overwhelmed or like you could use a little support for your mental well-being? Visit the Help Hub. It's the most comprehensive and inclusive free online destination for mental health resources, helpful tools, crisis hotlines, and supportive content. Just go to thehelphub.co to find the resources you need when you need them most. Unlike other resource pages, the Help Hub is divided into 16 different categories, ensuring that everyone in every community has access to the resources and support that matches their unique needs. Find the help you're looking for at thehelphub.co. Thanks for watching, everyone. Come back tomorrow for our 1-year anniversary. And if you'd like to support the show so we can go another year, buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/makeyourdayricher. And we'll see you tomorrow, everyone. Go make your day richer. Go make somebody else's day richer. You've made mine by watching this show, and I love you for it. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.